Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I was right, and I dislike very much when I'm right about something I predicted that will turn into something bad or worse. And that's the way it is. I said many times that Russia will possibly push these idiots back when they will just give them a final warning about if you cross this little red line, we're going to probably use nuclear weapons on you, Western countries. And that's exactly what happened. Vladimir Putin said if the Americans allowed the Ukrainians to use long-range missiles strikes in Russia, that means an act of war, and they will unleash something that the West have never seen. What could it be? A nuclear attack. I have here a few articles regarding Putin's statements and why he decided to say that. I think he should have said that much earlier. Why? To stop the war. And we have the imbecilic West's reaction to that. My friends, these guys think that the Russians are bluffing. That's the first topic, big topic of this video. The other one is, as I also predicted, NATO troops will be sent to Ukraine. Why? Because it's only logical. The escalation from sending a bullet, then sending a javelin, then sending howitzer, then sending armored vehicles, then sending tanks, and send long-range missiles, and sending airplanes. It's only the right escalation, the logical next step. And that's going to happen as well. The Russians warned us about this. I said it many times, and it's going to happen unless these guys are just come to their senses. And I think Maria Zakharova's statement regarding the so-called debate between Trump and Kamala is right, which is these guys are, who cares about two guys debating on Titanic 15 minutes before it's struck by the iceberg. The same here. We're going towards the iceberg and we care what kind of pronouns we used, or Kamala Harris and Trump would do this and will do that. Minor things. So let's start with the first article. CNN. Russia will be at war with NATO if Ukraine long-range missile restrictions lifted, Putin warns. Now, do you believe that Putin is bluffing, or do you think he will do what he said that will do, which is, and I'm going to show you, attacking NATO countries directly or counterattacking, reacting. It's unbelievably irrational. But as I said, the bully always pushes. I think the Russians should have smacked the bully at the beginning. The first bullet you sent, I should have smacked the bully back. But they didn't. They wait until this guy is with a hand in your lunch box to take your sandwich. And now the Russians react. I'm going to give you a bloody nose now. All right, let's go and read this one. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned NATO alliance leaders that a move to lift restrictions on Ukraine's use of long-range Western missiles to strike deep inside his country would be considered an act of war. Jesus Christ. And I'm quoting, this will mean that NATO countries, the United States and European countries, are at war with Russia. All right, Poland. All right, Baltic states. All right, Czech Republic. I want to see you fighting Russia now. It's not going to have, these guys are not going to have any patience with you. I guarantee you that, unfortunately. And if this is the case, I'm quoting Putin, then bearing in mind the change in the essence of the conflict, we will make appropriate decisions in response to the threats that will be posed to us, Putin told reporters Thursday. Now, this is only what CNN tells you, but reports what Putin says. He said much more, but they don't report that. I got to understand, I haven't been reading Russian media before this conflict in Ukraine. I haven't. I just read here and there, and but not every day like I'm doing right now, go over all this. And I have to tell you this, could be insulting for some, but it's reality. Go and assess it. Read some articles. The Russians give you more information, clear information, summary of the whole thing compared with these guys. These guys, their main tactic is to lie by omission. It doesn't mean the other guys don't lie, but this is their main tactic. That's all these guys said. Russia will be at war with NATO if blah, blah, blah. Not what Russia will do, but I will go to Sputnik and I will read exactly, and others, what these guys actually will do. This is CNN. What do you expect? Let's go to the next article. Reuters. Putin says West will be fighting directly with Russia if it lets Kiev use long-range missiles. So the same. So this is no question of allowing the Ukrainian regime to strike Russia with these weapons or not. It is a question of deciding whether or not NATO countries are directly involved in a military conflict. If this decision is taken, it will mean nothing less than a direct involvement of NATO countries, the United States, the European countries, in the war in Ukraine. This will be their direct participation, and this, of course, will significantly change the very essence, the very nature of the conflict. So remember, this is what these guys quote of the same thing supposedly he quote. It's a little bit different, but nevertheless. So let's go to the next one. This is from Reuters. Russia says Putin has sent clear message to the West on long-range missiles to Ukraine. I think it's for them. Let's see if Reuters reports. This is 50 minutes ago, today on the 13th of September. Let's see if these guys report that one. All right, this is what Peskov says. I think it's Peskov because he clarifies. Vladimir Putin, The statement made by President Putin yesterday is very important. It is extremely clear, unambiguous, and does not allow for double readings. We have no doubt that this statement reached those it was intended for, Peskov said. That means we know the imbeciles got the message. And again, this is the same thing that the other imbeciles here, which is still Reuters and CNN, reported the same statement. And then the end of the article. Let's go to the Russians and maybe we'll find out some more important stuff. Putin, NATO's approval of use of long-range missiles by Ukraine will mean it is war with Russia. All right, here it is. And let's see what this guy says. I have already mentioned this, and any experts will confirm, both in our country and in the West, that the Ukrainian army is not capable of independently carrying out strikes using modern long-range precision systems. It cannot do this. This is possible only with the use of intelligence from satellites, which Ukraine does not have. This data is only available from satellites of the European Union or the United States. In other words, from NATO satellites. That's the first point. The second point, and very important perhaps, key point, is that only NATO servicemen can make flight assignments to these missile systems. Ukrainian servicemen cannot do this. Cannot means they are forbidden. That's the word I learned when I was in college. And not only cannot means you are forbidden. You're not allowed. You're not able. For that you say can't. Okay, you're incapable. You can't. But cannot, you're forbidden. So you understand that it's clear that it's going to be NATO at the helm of strikes. I think NATO is with Patriot systems. I think NATO servicemen, crews are with HIMARS and possibly with some Abrams tanks. This is what I suspect. I don't have any evidence to support that, but it's like right now is kind of light outside. I think, I should say that one. Nevertheless, go and look at the consequences. This is the consequences he says. Let me see if it's in this one or in the next one. and we're gonna go to BBC, and BBC will give us some information of exactly how Russia will react. Let's go to BBC, as I said. Putin draws new red line on long-range missiles, right? 4 hours ago. Steve Rosenberg. Now, this Rosenberg is a bitch, just so you know. I watched him interview and ask questions and interview Lavrov. That's the guy who Lavrov said you can find a famous or infamous video on YouTube when Lavrov says we don't care about your eyes. That is, we don't care in your eyes how this looks. It's our interest, we're gonna fuck you up. Go and see, that's Rosenberg. And by the way, he's a Zelensky Stein, just by coincidence. I watched his questions many times. He asks Putin many years back in his yearly address to the nation or something like that. I can't, something like this is called. Zakharova, he asks Zakharova questions and he always gets smacked, but he's a weasel. I mean, what do you expect? All right, that's two strikes, BBC and Rosenberg. All right, and it says the headline in this morning's Kommersant newspaper captured the drama. Vladimir Putin draws a red line. Will the West cross it? And if it does, how will Putin respond? I will show you. The response is mean. Again, it says here that we change the NATO. This means NATO countries will be participating. And then we have Russia has drawn red lines before and seen them crossed before. Oh my God, okay. But they invaded, right? No matter who tries to stand in our way or create threats for our country and our people, they must know that Russia will respond immediately. Immediately. This is right there. And here it is. I'm quoting, and the consequences will be such as you have never seen in your entire history. Got that? Western leaders ignored what was widely interpreted at the time as nuclear saber rattling. That was when this guy said, you know what, stop that. I think that's on the table. Push it, you're gonna see something like you've never seen before. What could it be? The only thing that they didn't see, the Europeans, was a nuclear attack. Everything else they've seen. Everything else. No nuclear attack. So I think the signal is clear. So the point is, if you of the United States of America decide to strike, not to allow the Ukrainians, it's not about you allowing them, strike Russia, we will nuke you and European Union, whomever is over there, NATO. I mean, you can interpret it if you want milder or metaphorically, or how do you call it, euphemistically. You can use whatever. We're going to come and caress you decisively or something. Use euphemisms. But the reality, I think the message is clear. So let's see what the imbeciles in the West do about it. And what do you think they will do? All right, let's go to the first article here. So this is from today, September 13th. Everything else was from yesterday and from today. New Voice of Ukraine. US, UK near deal to allow Ukraine long-range strikes inside Russia. Got it? An argument allowing Ukraine to use British and American long-range weapons for strikes inside Russia could be announced during the UN General Assembly in September, when world leaders including US President British will gather in New York Political Road. Got it? So this is, they're going to make a decision. Things have changed in the light of the Russians' acquiring of ballistic missiles from Tehran, said a British government official. Now, this is what they claim right here, Russia acquiring. I haven't seen evidence. I've seen only statements and a picture of a vessel. And that's the evidence. And I made a video yesterday regarding exactly this bullshit. So I am not convinced that that's true. And if it's true, okay, they send ballistic missiles. Is that bad? Yeah, it's an escalation. Then how about looking at what you did for the past, 10 years, since 2014? Arming and organizing and bringing. No? Oh, that's good. Why? Oh, because you identify yourself as good and you identify the other ones as evil. The problem is the other guys are not allowed to do the same thing as you did, identify themselves as good and identify you as evil, correct? Correct. Why? Because we are the free world and we are just. You understand how idiotic this is? All right, so that's the first one. They are debating. This is according to today's New Voice of Ukraine. Again, New Voice of Ukraine. U.S. weighing Ukraine's request for deeper strike into Russian territory amid fears of escalation. So it's like Ukraine requests and Americans are, should we? This is the game played for the baboons. Amid fears of escalation. So what could be the escalation? Well, nothing, right? Again, the report highlights that during classified briefing, U.S. intelligence officials have expressed deep concern about America's potential direct involvement in Ukraine's effort to seize and hold positions in Russia's Kursk region. The U.S. intelligence has also warned that Russia could provide technological assistance to Iran. And you know what? Give me that one. Give me that one. They want to. Umerov told Austin that Ukraine operation in Kursk, and they are good to go. Next one. How lifting ban on long-range missile strikes could change Ukraine war. Now this is Telegraph. It doesn't work because it's a bitch. They want me to see these shoes. I don't want those ugly fucking shoes. I don't want to open. That's why I'm gonna go up. So these guys in this article, look at this picture. All right. How many Europeans you see in this picture? I would like you to just look at it. If you know anything about these guys, this is not European. This is not European. This is not European. This is not European. We got one. This is the new foreign minister of, Ukraine. And this is another weasel who seemed to be some kind of Ukrainian European. This is Zelensky Stein. This is Zelensky Stein. This is a French guy. This is Yermak, another Zelensky Stein. But these guys make decisions on Europe. Isn't that great? Anyway, just an observation. Everything I said is true. Everything I said is true. He comes from Great Britain. He comes from the United States of America. He comes from Ukraine. He comes from Ukraine. You know, like I am in the United States of America. I come from Romania. But I am an American. Understand? All right. If you don't, I got a lot of work to do. And here they give us they give us how the strike could change Ukraine war. I read the article. During the entire article, there's no one mention that the Russians, as an hypothesis, as an options, could use nuclear weapons or could strike NATO countries. None. So that tells me this. When you have because they're going to use the Institute of the Study of War, the garbage. But anyway, that's what they use. Why? Because they have to. That's another Zelensky Stein operation. Read and see who's in charge of those. And you're going to link it to Victoria Nuland. But hey, what do I know? And Keegan's. The same thing. So what's going on? When someone comes with a study and say, okay, this is what could happen. This could be the scenarios. And let's say you're an institute for study. You're studying. That means you're an expert. Study, scientific method and all that. You go with the first and you say, these are the, let's say, 5 scenarios. If you didn't include the most likely scenario, which is exactly what the Russians picked, which is we're going to fuck you up, we're going to nuke you, or we're going to attack you directly, that means you either are, how do I call it, you don't do your job, let's put it this way. That means you're not capable, that means you're not professional, you don't know what you're doing, or you are a weasel. That means you ignored it even if you knew. So you're incompetent or you're evil. Because if you're incompetent, only then you can miss the obvious elephant in the room. We're going to attack you directly if you use long-range missile strikes on us. That was the most obvious. So remember, when you start an investigation of a crime, you start with alternative hypotheses and you list them based on the most probable to the least probable. Like, for instance, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines. You start with the biggest suspect, and the biggest suspect is Al Capone, clearly by far. They said it at least on 2 occasions, and the president of Al Capone says, we're going to stop that. Nord Stream 1. So you go to the first one, the most obvious, and then you go down the line to the last one. There was a guy that went there and planted the most idiotic hypothesis, but it is an hypothesis, but the least possible one. These guys picked to elevate that, the most important one and the most obvious one, to downgrade it to the impossible one. So the same here. These guys in this article will go and say, we can hit 223 strikes, we can help this, we can advance that. They talk about the technical capabilities of their missiles, the front moving around, where we can weaken the Russians and all that. We can weaken the Russians and so on, but not a word about, okay, but when we do this, will these guys nuke us? No, nothing. That tells me the Telegraph, plus the Institute for the Study of War, the experts, the analysts, all these guys are either incompetent or evil. It's up to you. Go and read the article right here. This is the article, is from, as I said, the Telegraph Weasels. Story by Joe Barnes, 1 day ago. And as he says, you have all these non-Europeans here. And you go here and you're going to find out. The first thing here is this. The Institute for the Study of War has identified at least 225 potential targets. They go straight there. Straight there. And you go down here and you can read the whole article, and you will not find, you're gonna find the technical abilities of Storm Shadows right here. However, front line, the jets, this imbecile and all these guys, but nothing about that. You go and look, you go and read it. If you don't believe me, and don't believe me, don't believe, don't trust anybody unless you build a trust relationship with that person. Otherwise, and even then, you just lower your guard, but your guard is there, ready to punch like Fedor Emelianenko from down here. Okay, not from here, from here. Bang, 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 exposing your face as well to being knocked out. All right, which it happened. All right, so let's go to the next. By the way, Fedor Emelianenko and George St. Pierre from Canada, from Montreal. These two are my favorite MMA fighters. There are some other ones, but I think these guys, not only by their physical abilities at their time, always put in the context of their times, but their behavior outside of the octagon or the ring or the fighting place, they have never behaved like other good fighters, but trash. All right, let's go to BBC and see what these guys are telling us. Russia can end war now, says Prime Minister, as Putin warns West. So this imbecile appointed, he's not elected, he's appointed, his party won 18, I think, 18, this is Starmer, Prime Minister of Ukraine too, UK. His party in the system, their system, which is the best system, his party won about 19, around 19, less over 19, 18, between I think 18 and 19, of the electorate that voted. So from 100% of the people who were allowed to go and vote, they were about what? Maybe 60% they voted. From the 60, I give you 60, but I don't think it was 60. But nevertheless, 60%, because that's a high for the democracies. 60%. From the 60, now you put it 100, and you got 18%. So 18%, if you put it to 100, they would be about 12. So from the electorate, not the people who were allowed to vote. So this guy is in charge of your country with 12% of your electorate legally allowed to go and vote. With the population, if you add the children and people that are not allowed to, let's say, that would get to about 7 or 8, about 8. So this guy is in charge of a country with 8% of his party's vote, not him. They didn't vote for him, for his party. Got that? So that guy talks to Putin, and by the way, Great Britain has what? About 80 million, 60, 80 million, something like that, right? Not 60, I think 80 now. Maybe no. Around that. Russia has 142. Putin was voted with 80% voted of the electorate. Again, not how many participated. And this guy says, Putin, you can end the war because you started it. I don't think he started the war. I think the Americans started the war, the globalists started the war in 1991, when they had the chance to make this a better place. Okay, imagine all the people. Okay, so all right, all that, they fucked it up. Why? Because instead of saying, all right, let's Show these guys that we are the city on the wall that we claim we are, and let's make... No, they start bombarding, bang, bang, they intervene wherever they felt like, with good reason and with bad reason. I mean, I'm not saying certain things should not have been cleared. Like, you can't just do this. You go over there and talk, you try to negotiate. But no, they just struck. Bang, 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 bang. You do what I tell you, otherwise we're going to fuck you up. So this is this imbecile's stance. Can start it, warns, and right now, he might end it with a nuclear weapon on London or maybe on the vicinity, because you don't have to. This is the problem. My English, British, I want to call you English, Welsh, Scots, Irish, this one I call. When I say British, that means everybody's in. That's the whole purpose. I don't want to call you British. You know who I'm referring to. I know you love your country. I know you think you're tough. You're tough. Do you think that if you are at, let's say right now is war between Russia and your country, do you think you will win? Or do you think anybody will win? So I don't think you can win. So I give, let's say, none would win, and if it's about to pick a winner, it's going to be Russia. Because Russia, with one missile, not even in the location of your island over there, all right, that main island, right, not only that, in the vicinity will wash all that. One of one, if it trickles down over there. You, if you use only one in Russia, you destroy shit, nothing. Just to begin with. And you got what, 250 nuclear weapons, less than Israel, I think? Is it possible? How come? Oh, you had to help them. My bad. You're grabbed by the balls, man, and these guys are using you to fix their... All right, so this is what this imbecile warns. Says, oh, you can right now. Yeah. And this is the statement. Russia started the conflict in Ukraine. That's a lie. Because if you consider it as a hot war, you started in 2014 when some helped some traitors to overthrow a legitimate, democratically elected government of a country. Who are those? Some agencies, all right? And Federal Bureau, okay, and bureaus, all right? Agencies and bureaus. Who are those? And services. And that's when the war started, the hot war in Ukraine. Not in when this guy, 24 of February 2022. No, but they lie by omission. They start the clock of reality or the event when they want it. They don't start in 1991. They start in, well, right now in 24 of February 2022. That's where they started. And then when they go from there, they just pick and choose. And then they come with, you started it, you stop it. I think Putin is about to stop it. And I think, unfortunately, the Europeans, British people, will regret that. But the problem is these guys are going to inflame their patriotism that was pushed down all these years, so they accept to be deluded, if you know what I mean. No, we're all the same, bring them, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. And now, no, all of a sudden, our values are attacked. What values? Diversity is your value? Shut up. All right. Let's go to the next article. And the next article changes into something else right there. And that is, NATO states could send troops to Ukraine. I believe that Russian military says that. Now, do you believe the Russian military? I don't. But I know that this has been already decided. Why? Because I looked at the pattern. And you have a, how do you call it, serial rapist. And someone tells you that person might be next, I'm very much inclined, even if I don't trust the messenger. His message fits the historical events, the facts, the pattern. And the pattern is, we send weapons, which started with bullets. Then we sent javelins. Then we send howitzers. It's an escalation. And I said many times, there's two things that officially miss in Ukraine, which is troops, direct troops, and I said they will be used as euphemistic. Peacekeeping troops, love-making troops, something like that. They will not say we're going to go in. Putin will strike before these guys are going to send troops over there. And that's the way they are. And nuclear weapons, these were the two. That left. Everything else is there. Everything else is there. Tell me what's not there. Tell me what else is there. Ships? In the Black Sea, there are ships, but they don't go around. They're in Romania. Aren't they anchored in Constanța? NATO, I'm talking about. But they can't get in because Erdogan closed the straits to military vessels. That's according to what? Montreux Convention 1975 or something like this. So if it's a war in the Black Sea, around Black Sea, he has the right, the president of Turkey, to close the Dardanelles and Bosphorus Straits. How can they do it? If these guys want to go through, what are you going to do? Shoot at them? They will nuke you and you're gone, Turkey. But anyway, so the Russians are still holding it back. So here, these guys say NATO states, and let's see what evidence they have, right? The military bloc's members are planning to deploy troops to the country. Deputy Defense Minister Alexander Fomin has warned the US and its allies are planning for a further escalation of the Ukraine conflict by deploying troops to the country. This is what this guy claimed, and it fits my assessment of their actions and their escalation and the pattern. Speaking at the Xiangxian Defense Forum in Beijing on Friday, Fomin reiterated Moscow's position that the hostilities are a US-initiated proxy war against Moscow. Agencies in 2014 in Kiev, remember. Western nations insist they are not parties to the conflict. I think they 100% are, and are simply helping Kiev to fend off unprovoked quote-unquote aggression by Russia. And I'm quoting, NATO nations are preparing plans to deploy their own troops to Ukraine, seeking to create conditions for forcing Russia into accepting Kiev's demands through negotiations. This is a dangerous game, which may result in a direct clash of, again, nuclear nations. Kiev is receiving comprehensive military assistance. The Ukrainians are getting modern weapons and are being nudged into delivering strikes on Russian territory. Let's go to the next one. Obviously from the Russians. NATO plans to send troops to Ukraine to force Russia to hold talks. The same thing, Russia's Deputy Defense Minister. Let's make a little bit of summary what's going on here. I think what Putin said about who's going to use the long-range missiles, I think they're accurate. I think Putin is not bluffing. Why? Look at their history, and they're consistent, very consistent. They have a high rate of consistency. If they say, I'm going to punch you in the face, they usually punch you in the face. I'm going to give you $1, they're going to give you $1. Okay, here's the $1. So either good or evil, or however you want to take it, they're pretty consistent. Not like the other ones. I change my mind every fucking second when their balls hurt. Oh, they don't have balls, they have pussies. My bad. I'm not going to go to the other parts over there. Balls are good enough. So that's going to be. Russia will do this. What do you think the West will do? The West probably will do, I have two big scenarios. Doesn't mean that there are others. But the main ones are, obviously, will say, fuck off. And then I think Putin will, if this guy strike the first time, they will strike back straight. That's the first one. And the other ones, these guys are going to say, okay, we thought that it's going to be an escalation. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to use it nevertheless. And they will say it's the Ukrainians' domestic built missiles and all that. And the Russians will say, no, you used yours, we're going to nuke you. And these guys will tell their baboons, no, see, it was not our missiles. It was Ukrainian domestic built, okay? So the Russians are attacking us. They just made up this. They just want to attack us, as we told you. They want to destroy us. That's the evidence. It's not our missiles. And how are you going to verify? You can't. How do you know that's an attack MS missile or it's a Ukrainian Pampur missile or Papalapa missile? You can't. So you have to believe these liars versus the other liars. The fact is, the other liars were going to use nuclear weapons. What are they going to do? Remember, you can do only what it's in your control. And what it's in your control is in your baboonish country. You can't, and those guys in their baboonish country. Got that? So I think these are the big options. They will continue. NATO is not going to become sane all of a sudden and say, wake up from the drunken party last night or the symposium. No, it's not going to do that. They're going to try to weasel their way out in achieving their goal, which is Russia. They will not stop that. They will find a way to use metaphors, or as I said, euphemistic speech to say, no, we're not going to do, but actually they will do it. This is most likely what's going to happen. The other one could be because this is the threat. It's like, I'm going to look in your eyes, I'm going to say, I'm going to punch you up, punch you in your face. If you step one more inch towards my, and you violate my bubble here, I will punch you in the face. And that means if you stop doing that, it means you're afraid. And you can't show to your imbeciles around, your hyenas around, that you're afraid. I'm talking about the United States of America. So you have to say, I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to show you. He can show, okay, Russia, okay, because that means acknowledging the opponent's strength. And they can't, because they have to take over this, and they think they're the only ones. That's what it is. So they probably will say, I'm going to show him. I'm going to push this, all right? He said no here. Okay, I'm going to... bong, knockout. Now probably it's going to be a nuclear whatever. But I'm guaranteeing you the Russians will guarantee you. I predict the Russians will use nuclear weapons if they say they will. All right, my friends, here it is. NATO troops in there, I think they are undercover and operating over there, a little bit in the back of the front, not, or as volunteers, as I explained many, many times. Regular military, NATO military shows up in Poland, take their uniforms off, take the volunteer, Ukrainian volunteer uniforms on, take a picture, put down volunteer, put it right here when they're going to be shot and found by the Russians. Oh, he's a volunteer, we trust that. And these guys are just a mercenary. The problem is all these units crossed into Ukraine with the same commander that will have the right direction plans of operation. That's what I think it is. If it's not like that, I cut my balls off. When these guys will allow the books and the information to be published about 2 or 3 or 4, no, I would say 4 years after the hostilities end over there. If not, they don't end in a nuclear war. You'll see. When the books are already written, it's just the numbers and the dates that need to be changed and things that right now still evolve. And it's just, if right now the war ends, I guarantee you're gonna have about 7 or 8 books ready over there. New York New York Times bestsellers authors, which are gonna be Steins, Bergs, and Manns. And none of us who had them already ready to be published will never hear about my book. We're gonna hear about those guys. Why? Those are the guys that form our history, form our opinion, shape it. And they're already there. You know them. How do you think that fucking 32-year-old write the books and over there? Oh my God, look at that. How about we publish this? Because we like how she writes. Nah. And it's not a genius. How? You hear the person talk and say, how in the fuck your book was published by this big, Barnes and Nobles or Schulers or whatever. Or Schusters or whatever. Nah. We know how things work. Direct experience. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.